I never thought I'd be one of those people sharing their story online, but here I am, 3 months after the worst betrayal of my life, finally ready to talk about what happened with Felix. We'd been together for 3 years, 3 years of planning our future, talking about marriage, saving for a house together. I thought I knew him. God, I was so wrong. It started on a Tuesday morning in July. I remember because I'd taken the day off work to surprise Felix for our anniversary. 3 years together deserves something special, right? I'd planned this elaborate breakfast, bought those expensive pastries he loved from the French bakery downtown, even splurged on champagne for mimosas. I was practically floating as I used my key to let myself into his apartment at 7 a.m., imagining his sleepy smile when he saw me. But his bed was empty. Not just empty, it hadn't been slept in. The sheets were still perfectly made from when I'd helped him tidy up 2 days earlier. My first thought was that maybe he'd crashed at his friend Marcus's place after their poker night. Felix did that sometimes when they drank too much. I set up the breakfast anyway, texting him a casual morning, "Babe, where are you?" No response. An hour passed. Then 2. The champagne sat unopened, the pastries growing stale. By noon, I was oscillating between worry and anger. I called Marcus, who sounded confused. "Poker night?" "That was last week, Angela. Haven't seen Felix since Friday." That's when the first red flag really hit me. Felix had told me he was having poker night with the guys on Monday. I remembered specifically because I'd offered to make my buffalo chicken dip for them, and he'd said no, they were just ordering pizza. My hands were shaking as I opened Instagram, searching for any clue about where he might be. And there it was, posted just 6 hours ago. Jasmine Rodriguez, a girl from Felix's gym, who I'd always felt weird about but whom Felix insisted was just a friend, had posted a photo of a sunrise over the ocean. The caption read, "Paradise with my lovebird. Cancan vibes. Couples getaway." My heart stopped. In the corner of the photo, barely visible but unmistakably, there was Felix's distinctive tattoo on a man's shoulder. The compass rose he'd gotten on his 25th birthday. The one I'd held his hand for at the tattoo parlor. I must have stared at that photo for 20 minutes, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was someone else with a similar tattoo. But as I scrolled through Jasmine's recent posts, my denial crumbled. 3 days ago, a photo of airplane tickets to Cancun, strategically covering the name but showing 2 seats. 5 days ago, a selfie at the gym with the caption, "Getting beach body ready with my workout partner Felix," visible in the background. The worst part? I knew exactly how he'd paid for this trip. 2 weeks earlier, I'd noticed my emergency savings envelope was missing from my closet. $2,550 in cash that I'd been saving for 2 years. Money for our future. Money I'd scrimped and saved from overtime shifts and skipped lunches. When I'd asked Felix about it, he was the only other person with access to my apartment. He'd helped me look for it, even suggesting I might have moved it and forgotten. He'd held me while I cried about losing it, told me we'd figure it out together. I threw up. Right there in his kitchen, I ran to the sink and lost everything in my stomach. The man I loved, the man I was planning to marry, had stolen from me to take another woman on vacation. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone as I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again and again. On the 5th try, he finally picked up. "Hey babe," he said casually, like nothing was wrong. I could hear music and laughter in the background. Ocean waves. "Where are you?" My voice was deadly calm. "Oh, just out with Marcus and the guys." "Why?" "Really? Because Marcus hasn't seen you since Friday." Silence. Then a sigh. "Okay, look, Angela, you're in Cancun. With Jasmine. With my money." More silence. Then, and I'll never forget this, he laughed. He actually laughed. "Relax. You'll get over it. It's not that big a deal." "Not that big a deal? You stole from me." "It's not stealing when we're practically married. What's yours is mine, right? Look, we'll talk when I get back. I'm here now, might as well enjoy it." "Don't be so dramatic." He hung up. He actually hung up on me. I stood there in his apartment, surrounded by the anniversary breakfast I'd prepared, and felt something inside me break. Not my heart that would come later. This was something deeper. The foundation of everything I thought I knew about my life had just cracked wide open. The next 3 days were a blur of rage and humiliation. I packed everything of mine from Felix's apartment, 3 years of accumulated belongings, gifts I'd given him, photos of us, and dumped it all in my living room. I changed my locks, even though he'd never actually had a key to my place, just knew where I hid the spare. I called my bank to make sure he didn't have access to any of my accounts. He didn't, thank God, but I opened new ones anyway, at a completely different bank. I also did something I'm not proud of. I obsessively watched Jasmine's Instagram stories. Every cocktail on the beach, every romantic sunset, every couple's massage, all funded by my money. My savings, the overtime hours, the extra shifts, the nights I'd eaten ramen to save a few dollars, all of it was being spent on her. Felix appeared in some of the stories, always smiling, always with his arm around her. In one video, they were dancing at some beach club, and he was looking at her the way he used to look at me. My best friend Sarah came over on day 2, took one look at me, and forced me to shower and eat something. "You need to expose him," she said. "Tell everyone what he did." But I wasn't ready for that yet. Some part of me still thought maybe this was all a nightmare. Maybe he'd come back, apologize, explain that it was all some huge misunderstanding. Maybe Jasmine had bought the tickets. Maybe they were just friends and the lovebird thing was a joke. Maybe. 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 Then they came back. Felix texted me on Friday. Home now. We should talk. Come over. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't stolen from me, lied to me, cheated on me. Like I should just come running back. I didn't respond, but an hour later, he texted again. Don't be childish, Angela. You're making this bigger than it is. That night, Sarah convinced me to go out, just to get my mind off things. We went to a low-key bar downtown, the kind of place we'd gone to since college. I was actually starting to feel slightly human again, laughing at something Sarah said, when I heard familiar laughter behind me. Felix. With Marcus, Jake, and 2 other guys from their friend group. And of course, Jasmine, pressed against his side in a dress that probably cost more than she'd ever spent on clothing before my money entered the equation. Our eyes met across the bar, and Felix had the audacity to smile and wave like we were old friends who'd bumped into each other. He actually started walking over, dragging Jasmine with him. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Sarah grabbed my hand under the table. Angela, Felix said cheerfully, like nothing was wrong. Fancy seeing you here. This is Jasmine. Oh wait, you two know each other from the gym, right? Jasmine smiled sweetly, but her eyes were cold. Hi, Angela. Felix has told me so much about you. Has he? I managed to say. Did he tell you he stole my savings to take you to Cancun? Felix's friends had gathered around us now, and I saw Marcus and Jake exchange uncomfortable looks, but Felix just rolled his eyes. See, this is what I was telling you guys about. She's being dramatic about a little vacation. A little vacation with money you stole from me, I said louder. Jasmine laughed this tinkling, fake sound. Oh my god, you're still upset about that? It was only like, what, $2,000? That's nothing. You should be happy he found someone who makes him actually want to spend money on them. The entire bar seemed to go quiet. Or maybe that was just the ringing in my ears. Felix's friends were snickering now, and Felix himself was smirking, his arm tightening around Jasmine's waist. You know what's pathetic? Jasmine continued, emboldened by the male attention. Keeping cash hidden in your closet like some paranoid old lady. If you can't trust your boyfriend with your money, maybe you shouldn't have a boyfriend. Or maybe, I said, standing up, my voice shaking with rage, I shouldn't have a thief for a boyfriend. Felix stepped closer to me, lowering his voice. You need to calm down. You're embarrassing yourself. No, Felix, you embarrassed me. You stole from me, lied to me, cheated on me, and now you're standing here with her, acting like I'm the problem? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Felix, man. Maybe we should— No, Felix cut him off. Angela needs to hear this. You were boring, okay? 3 years of the same routine, the same conversations, the same everything. Jasmine makes me feel alive. And that money? Consider it payment for 3 years of putting up with you. The words hit me like physical blows. Sarah stood up beside me, and I could feel her fury radiating off her. But before either of us could respond, Jasmine delivered the final blow. Besides, she said, examining her nails with fake casualness, from what Felix tells me, you weren't exactly satisfying him in other departments either. Some women just aren't built for keeping a man happy. Maybe focus on that instead of crying over a little bit of money. I don't remember leaving the bar. Sarah tells me I walked out with my head high, but all I remember is sitting in her car afterward, shaking with a rage so intense I thought I might explode. Everything made sense now, the late nights at the gym, the sudden interest in upgrading his wardrobe, the decreased intimacy between us. How long had this been going on? How long had he been laughing at me behind my back with her? Sarah drove me home and stayed the night, but I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., I made a decision. If Felix wanted to humiliate me publicly, if he wanted to act like what he did was no big deal, then everyone was going to know exactly what kind of person he was. I started with his mother. Gloria had always loved me, called me the daughter she never had. I sent her a long message explaining everything, the theft, the cheating, the humiliation at the bar. I attached screenshots of my bank statements, showing the withdrawal, photos of the empty envelope where I'd kept my savings, and screenshots of Jasmine's Cancun posts. I wanted you to hear this from me, I wrote. I loved your son, but I can't be with someone who would do this to me. Then I moved on to our mutual friends. Not the guys who'd laughed at me in the bar, they'd clearly chosen their side, but the couples we'd hung out with, the people from my work who'd met Felix at company events, everyone who'd seen us as a couple. I didn't embellish or dramatize. I just told them the facts. Felix stole $2,550 from me and used it to take another woman on vacation. By morning, my phone was blowing up. Gloria had called Felix screaming, demanding he return my money immediately. Several mutual friends had blocked him on social media. His cousin Maria, who'd always been close to both of us, sent me a message saying she was disgusted with him. Felix's response was swift and vicious. He showed up at my apartment at 8 a.m., pounding on the door. Open up, Angela. I know you're in there. You need to stop this right now. I called the police. I sat on my couch, listening to him rage outside my door, and calmly told the dispatcher that my ex-boyfriend was trying to break into my apartment. Felix must have heard me because he suddenly went quiet. By the time the police arrived, he was gone. But he wasn't done. Oh no, not by a long shot. That afternoon, while I was at work trying to focus on anything other than my imploding personal life, my manager called me into his office. Someone had sent an anonymous email to the company claiming I'd been stealing from the petty cash and suggesting they check the books. It was obviously false, easily disproven. But the fact that I had to sit there and defend myself, that my integrity was being questioned because of Felix's spite, it was almost too much. The harassment escalated over the next week. Felix couldn't attack me directly. I'd blocked him on everything and made it clear I'd call the police if he came near me again, but he found other ways. My tire was slashed in my work parking lot. Someone signed me up for dozens of spam email lists and online services. A Craigslist ad appeared with my phone number, advertising free kittens, and my phone rang nonstop for 2 days. Jasmine played her part too. She started posting photos wearing jewelry. I recognized pieces Felix had given me that I'd left at his apartment, including my grandmother's vintage necklace that I'd stupidly kept in his jewelry box. When I texted Felix demanding he return my things, he replied, "What things? I don't have anything of yours." Sarah wanted me to take legal action, but what could I prove? The money had been cash. I had no receipt, no paper trail showing Felix had taken it. The jewelry? He'd claim I'd given it to him, or that it was his to begin with. The harassment? No proof it was him. I felt trapped, helpless, like he was winning even after everything. Then something unexpected happened. Marcus showed up at my apartment one evening. I almost didn't let him in, but something in his expression made me open the door. "I'm sorry about the bar," he said immediately. "That wasn't cool. None of it was." I didn't say anything, just waited. "Look, I've known Felix for 10 years and I've never seen him act like this. The thing with Jasmine, it's been going on for about 4 months. He told us you two were having problems, that you were probably going to break up anyway. 4 months. While I was planning our future, he'd been with her for 4 months. The money thing, though," Marcus continued. "We didn't know about that until the bar. Jake and I have been talking, and we're not cool with it. Stealing from your girlfriend? That's messed up." "Ex-girlfriend," I corrected. "Right, ex-girlfriend. Anyway, I thought you should know that Jasmine's not what Felix thinks she is. She's been bragging at the gym about how she's got him wrapped around her finger, how he'll buy her anything she wants now. She's already talking about moving into his apartment, getting him to lease her a new car. She's playing him. I wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. That's his problem now." Marcus nodded. "Fair, but also, Felix has been spiraling since his mom cut him off. Did you know about that?" I hadn't known, but I wasn't surprised. Gloria didn't play when it came to right and wrong. She froze his access to the family trust, Marcus explained. Told him he can't access it until he makes things right with you. He's freaking out because his apartment, his car, it's all subsidized by that trust. Without it, he can't afford his lifestyle. After Marcus left, I expected to feel something satisfaction, maybe, or vindication, but I just felt empty. Felix was facing consequences, sure, but it didn't undo what he'd done. It didn't give me back my savings, or my 3 wasted years, or my faith in people. 2 days later, things took another turn. I came home from work to find an envelope slipped under my door. Inside was $300 in cash and a note in Felix's handwriting. "Starting to pay you back, F." I stared at the money, confused and suspicious. This wasn't like Felix. Then I noticed something else, a faint smell of his cologne lingering in the hallway. He'd been here, inside my building, despite me telling the building manager not to let him in. The security camera footage later showed him following another tenant through the main door. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every noise made me jump. Was he going to come back? What did he want? The money felt like a trap somehow, like accepting it would mean something I didn't understand yet. The next morning, I found out what he wanted. Gloria called me, her voice careful. "Felix came by yesterday. He's a mess, Angela. He says he wants to make things right, to pay you back everything and apologize properly. He wants another chance." "Absolutely not," I said immediately. "I'm not saying you should give him one," Gloria clarified quickly. "I just wanted you to know what he's thinking. He seems different. Desperate. He says Jasmine left him." Of course she had. Without the trust fund, Felix wasn't nearly as attractive to someone like her. But that wasn't my problem. Over the next week, the envelope visits continued. $200 here, $500 there. By the end of the week, he'd returned $1,500 of the stolen money. Each envelope came with a note. "I'm sorry, please talk to me. I made a mistake." She meant nothing. I saved them all as evidence in case I needed a restraining order, but I didn't touch the money. It sat in a box on my kitchen counter like something contaminated. Then he escalated again. He started showing up at my workplace, waiting in the parking lot. He never approached me, he'd learned that lesson, but he was always there, watching. My coworkers noticed. My manager noticed. It was affecting my job, my reputation. Sarah finally convinced me to file for a restraining order, but the very day I was planning to go to the courthouse, everything changed again. Felix's father, Robert, called me. Robert had always been a quiet man, letting Gloria handle the family drama, but his voice was firm on the phone. "Angela, I apologize for my son's behavior. It's unacceptable. I wanted to let you know that we've taken steps. Felix is entering a treatment program for his behavioral issues. He'll be gone for 30 days, and when he returns, he'll be moving back home with us. We'll ensure he stays away from you and that you receive the rest of your money." I thought that would be the end of it. Felix in treatment, his parents handling things, My money being returned, it should have been over. But Jasmine, apparently, wasn't done with me. She started a smear campaign on social media. According to her posts, I was a psycho ex who couldn't let go, who'd made up the theft story to get attention, who was stalking Felix and ruining his life out of jealousy. She posted screenshots of fake text conversations where I supposedly threatened her. She claimed I'd keyed her car. I hadn't even known what she drove. She painted herself as the victim of my harassment, with Felix as the innocent man caught between two crazy women. Some people believed her. I started getting messages from strangers calling me pathetic, telling me to move on, to leave the happy couple alone. Someone left a nasty note on my car. My Instagram was flooded with hateful comments on old photos. But then something interesting happened. Other women started reaching out to me privately. Women from the gym, from Felix's work, from random places, all with similar stories about Jasmine. She'd done this before, multiple times. Targeted men in relationships, broken them up, bled them dry, then moved on. One woman, Carla, told me Jasmine had done the exact same thing to her fiancé 2 years ago, down to the vacation funded by stolen money. We formed a strange sort of support group, 5 women who'd been collateral damage in Jasmine's gold-digging schemes. Together, we compiled evidence, screenshots, photos, testimonies. Carla, who worked in social media marketing, helped us create a post that laid out Jasmine's pattern of behavior without mentioning her name directly, just enough details that people who knew her would connect the dots. The post went viral in our city's Facebook groups. Suddenly, Jasmine's narrative started falling apart. People who'd believed her began questioning her stories. The gym banned her after several members complained. Her Instagram follower count plummeted as people realized what she was. But the sweetest vindication came from an unexpected source. Jake, Felix's friend who'd laughed at me in the bar, reached out with an apology and a piece of information. Jasmine's been seeing someone else, he told me. Some older guy with actual money. She was using Felix as a placeholder while she worked on landing the bigger fish. She's been laughing about how easy it was to manipulate him. He sent me screenshots of Jasmine's messages in a group chat, bragging about how she'd gotten a free vacation and jewelry out of her gym project and how pathetic Felix was for falling for her act. In one message, she even admitted to lying about our supposed harassment, calling it insurance in case Felix tried to come back to me. I forwarded everything to Gloria, not out of spite, but because she deserved to know what kind of person had helped destroy her son's life. Gloria's response was swift and brutal. She used her considerable social influence to ensure Jasmine's reputation was thoroughly destroyed in our city's social circles. The older man Jasmine had been pursuing suddenly wanted nothing to do with her. Meanwhile, Felix was released from his program. Robert called to let me know they'd transferred the remaining $1,050 to my bank account apparently. They'd paid it themselves since Felix didn't have the money. We're also returning your grandmother's necklace and any other belongings you left at Felix's apartment, he added. Gloria packed everything herself, true to his word. A box arrived the next day with all my things, including items I hadn't even realized were missing. Gloria had included a handwritten note, "I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better. Please don't let my son's actions dim your light." I thought that would be the end. Felix was living with his parents. Jasmine was persona non grata. I had my money back, it should have been over. But Felix had one more card to play. He wrote me a letter. An actual, handwritten, 8-page letter that arrived on a Thursday afternoon. In it, he detailed everything how the affair with Jasmine started, how she'd pursued him relentlessly, how she'd convinced him I was holding him back. He admitted to the theft but claimed Jasmine had pressured him, saying it was the only way to prove he was serious about her. He wrote about his time in treatment, the therapy sessions where he'd realized he'd thrown away the best thing in his life for someone who never cared about him at all. "I know you'll never forgive me," he wrote, "and I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know that every moment with Jasmine was empty compared to our worst day together. She made me feel desired, but you made me feel loved. I confused the two, and it cost me everything that mattered." The letter went on, detailing his regrets, his promises to change, his desperation to make amends. He ended with, "I'll spend the rest of my life regretting what I did to you. You were planning our future while I was destroying it. You deserved a partner, and I gave you a betrayal. I'm sorry, Angela. I'm so fucking sorry." I sat with that letter for a long time. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated that he finally understood what he'd lost. Part of me wanted to rage at the audacity of him thinking an apology could undo everything. But mostly, I felt free. His regret, his pain, his realization, none of it was my problem anymore. I burned the letter. Not out of anger, but as a cleansing ritual. Sarah came over, and we had a little ceremony in my backyard. We burned the letter, the notes he'd left with the money, every photo of us I'd kept, every little reminder of our 3 years together. As the smoke rose into the evening sky, I felt 3 years of weight lifting off my shoulders. But Felix wasn't done. Even after everything, the restraining order I'd finally filed, his parents' intervention, the public humiliation, he couldn't let go. The calls started coming at weird hours from unknown numbers. Heavy breathing, hang-ups, sometimes just silence. I knew it was him. Who else would it be? Then came the voicemails. He must have been drinking when he left them, because his words were slurred, alternating between begging and anger. "Please, Angela. Just talk to me. You're being cruel. We were good together. This isn't how our story ends. You ruined my life. I love you. I hate you. Please. The final straw came at 2:37 a.m. on a Saturday. My phone rang, and against my better judgment, I listened to the voicemail he left. You want to know something funny, Angela? Jasmine told me she targeted me because of you. She saw us together at the gym, saw how you looked at me, and knew I had someone who really loved me. That made me valuable to her. She wanted to take what was yours, and I let her. I fucking let her. I threw away someone who loved me for someone who wanted to hurt you. How's that for irony? You weren't collateral damage, you were the target all along, and I was just the weapon she used. There was a long pause. Then, I'm moving to Seattle. My uncle offered me a job. Mom and Dad think distance will help. Maybe they're right. Maybe if I can't see the places where we were happy, I'll stop wanting to die every time I remember what I threw away. I know you don't care, but I wanted you to know. I'm gone. You win. You fucking win, Angela. The voicemail ended with him crying. Ugly, desperate sobs that might have broken my heart 6 months ago. Now they just made me tired. He did move to Seattle. Gloria confirmed it with a brief text. He's gone. You're safe now. I'm sorry for everything. That was 2 months ago. I've heard through the grapevine that he's struggling there. No trust fund access still. Working a basic job. Living in a studio apartment. Jasmine, last I heard, had moved on to her next target. Some entrepreneur she met at a conference. The other women from our support group and I still check in on each other. A strange sisterhood born from shared trauma. As for me, I'm healing. I started therapy to deal with the trust issues this whole mess left me with. I got a promotion at work, turns out throwing myself into my career to avoid thinking about Felix had some benefits. I'm not dating yet. The thought of being vulnerable with someone new still makes me nauseous. But I'm getting there. I replaced my emergency savings. This time in an actual bank account that no one else knows about. I redecorated my apartment, removing any trace of the life I'd planned with Felix. I even took a solo vacation not to Cancun, God no, but to Portland, where I spent a week hiking and remembering who I was before Felix. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks about the irony of it all. He stole $2,550 from me, but what he really stole was his own future. The money was returned, but the trust, the love, the life we were building that's gone forever. He traded 3 years of genuine love for 4 months of manipulation and lies. He gave up someone who would have stood by him through anything for someone who dropped him the moment his money ran out. But mostly, I don't think about him at all. He's a cautionary tale now, a story I'll tell friends who are ignoring red flags, a reminder to myself that actions have consequences and that when someone shows you who they really are, you believe them. The girl who would have forgiven him, who would have taken him back, who would have tried to fix things. She died in that bar when he stood there with Jasmine and let her humiliate me. The woman who emerged from those ashes? She's stronger, smarter, and she sure as hell knows her worth. Felix was right about one thing in his final voicemail. I did win. Not because I destroyed his life, he did that all by himself. I won because I walked away, rebuilt, and refused to let his betrayal define me. I won because I chose myself. And that $2,550, I'm saving up again. This time, it's for something just for me. Maybe a solo trip to Europe, maybe a down payment on my own place. Maybe just the security of knowing it's there, that it's mine, and that no one can take it from me again. Funny how the worst thing that ever happened to me turned out to be the push I needed to become who I was always meant to be. Someone who doesn't need a Felix, or anyone else, to complete her story. I'm writing my own ending now, and it's so much better than anything I could have imagined when I was planning a future with someone who was secretly planning my destruction.